Hello, and welcome to Homes of Color Television. My name is Corriece Gwynn. I'm publisher of Homes of Color magazine. The magazine has been on hiatus for a while, but we are working to get it back on its feet, and we are going to soon launch our website, homesofcolor.net. In the meantime, we've started Homes of Color Television, and today you will see behind me one of our covers featuring Marion Wright Edelman. And we will have other people probably that we feature from time to time from our previous magazine covers. But today I want to introduce you to someone. With all the changes that have been going on in the weather, I know that a lot of people are probably thinking about gardening. I know that I am thinking about gardening, especially when it's 80 degrees outside. So today we have our guest in the studio is Miss Brittney Drakeford, and Brittney is a community gardener. Welcome, Brittney.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with you today.
Okay. Well, Brittney, let's start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living.
Yes, so I am a sixth-generation native of Prince George's County, Maryland. I currently work with the Prince George's County Planning Department as a senior planner, focusing really on the zoning ordinance rewrite. And I am also a culture of health leader with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation.
And what's a culture of health leader?
I know. So my main focus is really helping build and helping create healthy communities in Prince George's County. So we think about it like healthy people and healthy places.
Okay, that's great. So the reason that we have you here today is because we're going to talk about community gardening. I know that you're active in gardening. In fact, one of the things that I read about you is that you feel like farming is in your blood, right?
Yes.
And we do have a picture of one of your distant relatives. Can you tell us, this is a wide shot of one of your, can you tell us who that is?
Yes, so this is my great-great-grandfather, Robert Harrod Jr. And Robert Harrod Jr. actually lived in the Huntsville community in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is not too far from the Ridgely community. And him and his family, they owned about an acre of land that they farmed over time. They actually eventually subdivided that land where his brothers and sisters actually helped farm the land as well. And so when we looked at census records, we could see some of that information.
So one of the images that you sent us of the plot of land, is that the plot that right there, that Huntsville? So where is it kind of bordered here in Prince George's? Where is that actually in Prince George's?
Right, so today that's pretty much considered a Highland Park.
Oh, Highland Park.
So it's right along the intersection of Sheriff Road and Martin Luther King Avenue in Prince George's County.
Okay, very interesting. So you have farming in your blood then, right?
Yes, on both sides. My father's family were farmers, and also on my mother's side, they were farmers as well.
And another interesting thing that you point out is that, was it your great-grandfather that was affiliated with one of the Rosenwald schools? And I think we have a wide shot of the exterior of the Rosenwald school. Where is this particular, I think it's called Ridgely?
Yes, so this is the Ridgely Rosenwald School, which is based in Capitol Heights, Maryland. My grandfather also attended the Ridgely Church, the Ridgely Methodist Episcopal Church, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the Rosenwald School. And the church really worked and supported the construction of the school, also with Julius Rosenwald, who was the foundation that helped provide seed funding for the Rosenwald Fellowship and the Rosenwald Foundation and the Rosenwald schools. So he did help participate with the Ridgely School and also with the Highland Park School that was not too far from where he lived.
And these were, in some African-American communities, these were the only schools that they had.
Correct, right. So in Prince George's County, I think there are about 27 of those schools that were constructed with support from the Rosenwald Fund. And the Ridgely School is actually one of the very few to actually survive and actually be maintained as a...
Has it been declared a National Historic Site?
I'm not too certain about that yet. I know the Ridgely Church is a National Historic Site. I believe they're still in the process of applying for that. But as you can see, it is a beautiful restored site.
And I think you also brought us an interior image of that school. Okay, there you go.
So yes, this photograph here is from the opening day of the Ridgely School. When they reopened it as a historic museum and cultural site. And so that's
Okay.
what this is a photograph of.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for letting us know a little bit about your background
Thank you.
and that you really are I don't even know if I should say gardener or farmer. So, which one is it?
I'll just say gardener for now because I
Okay.
have not been able to grow enough to sell to other people. So
Okay.
it is just a solely enterprise just for myself.
Okay, so you're active with Cottage City Gardening, huh? And I believe that we have a wide shot of the signage there. So you want to tell us a little bit about Cottage City Community Garden?
Yeah, so the Cottage City Community Garden started many years ago through a partnership with the Port Towns Community Health Partnership, In Time Harvest Ministries in the city of Cottage City, the town of Cottage City. And so I really started gardening in about 2014, 2015. I moved into Cottage City in 2013. And I was really excited just about getting my hands dirty and really growing food. Living in the suburbs, I grew up in Mitchellville. I never really had the chance to have my own garden. And so the idea of planting food and seeing something grow from seed all the way to something that I can put in my stomach was really exciting to me.
Oh, okay. So you're still excited about gardening, huh?
Yes, I've always loved playing in the dirt, so it's a great way for me to get a little bit of exercise while also, having a very rewarding experience with my neighbors.
Oh, that's great. I think one of the next images we have of is some of the people that are helping out with the garden. One of the wide shots of, and I believe some children are in this. What's going on with the people here?
So yeah, so every year the town of Cottage City hosts a city day. So it's Cottage City Day, and the community gardeners, we really try to find a way to connect what we do in the garden with our community. And so here we have two people. That's Ann Rivera and Denise Hamler, who are working with some children in our neighborhood, helping them grow microgreens. And so that's what they're doing here. It's just
And exactly what are microgreens?
so microgreens are pretty much baby greens, so you don't allow them to grow the full
Okay.
to its full size. But they're smaller, shorter greens that you can just snip off. You can put them in smoothies, and they
Okay.
provide a lot of nutrients.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot. And the next image we have, I believe, also may be of some of the produce that you're. Oh, these are some volunteers. I hear that you also partner with other local gardens, and this is an example of some of your partnership. What's going on here?
Yeah, so one of the best things about community gardening is that you can always partner and collaborate with other people. So I have a few friends around the area who also manage community gardens. And so right here we're at the Soulful City Community Garden, and we are assisting in just preparing the
And
beds.
where is Soulful City located?
So Soulful City is located in Southeast DC,
All right. Okay.
which is a food desert or area where they have very low access to food. And so this is one of the things that the community decided would be a great way to help encourage and incentivize people to eat healthy and eat fresh foods.
Could you talk a little bit about food deserts and what that means to the African American community, just briefly? Because a lot of people may not be familiar with that terminology. What exactly is meant by a food desert?
Right, so a food desert is just generally a place where individuals have low access to fresh fruits and vegetables, primarily because there are very little grocery stores. And so either it's very difficult to get to a grocery store by car, or there's just not a grocery store at all. And there are a lot of parts of Prince George's County, or some parts of Prince George's County, and some parts of Washington, D.C. that are considered food deserts. These are also places where not only is there not a grocery store, but they're also considered low-income communities as well. And what we've seen is that community gardens, urban farms are a great way to help bring that fresh produce to people when they can't get it in other ways.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. That's so rewarding, I know. So in our next image, I think okay, so what's going on? Or you guys look like you're having a good time there. So what's going on here?
So one of the joys of community gardening
Is eating.
Yes, and having fun with your neighbors. So right here, one of the things we try to do every single year is have a harvest party. So that's when everybody brings a little bit of something from their garden. We cook it, we bring out the grill, and we just fellowship and eat together. We play music, we play games, and just do things to really try to bond and form that community.
Oh, okay. And how many volunteers did you have at Cottage City Community Garden?
So-
Approximately volunteers.
Right, so we have about 20 to 25 gardeners who work with us every year throughout the year. But then we get a lot of great volunteers. So End Time Harvest Ministries and the Port Towns Youth Council, they bring about 40 to 50
Wow.
volunteers at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, to help prepare the garden and then to help close it out for the winter.
Oh, so you get a lot of good young talent there to help you out.
Yes, yes, those young kids. We love the Port Towns Youth Council. Our garden couldn't thrive without them. And they were actually the ones who provided the initial grant to help establish
Okay.
the Cottage City Community Garden.
Oh, that's great. So let's take a look at some of the produce. I think we have a shot of, now that's a great picture of some carrots there. I know you grow carrots. What are some of the other vegetables that you grow?
So we grow carrots, and then there's eggplants and peanuts and
Okay.
sunflowers, because that's how you harvest your sunflower seeds. We also grow tomatoes and potatoes. It can almost become a song, right?
Don't try it.
We grow black-eyed peas, we grow pumpkins and
Okay.
squash and zucchini, and I can just go on and on and on about all the different things that we grow.
Do you grow fruit too, like strawberries or?
Yes, we do. So my sister, we garden together. We grow strawberries. We have a plum tree, a peach tree.
Oh, wow.
We grow pawpaws.
And what exactly is a pawpaw?
So a pawpaw is like a native fruit to this area, and so it's just another type of fruit.
Is it like a cherry, or is it something that grows on a tree, or?
So I am going
You
to
should have.
admit,
I should have asked you to bring a picture of a pawpaw because I've never heard of it before.
yeah. So it is a native fruit, but it's a small, tiny little thing. But we enjoy them at the garden. We also grow figs. So those are some of the
Okay.
other types of fruits. And we also grow flowers because
Okay.
flowers are really great to assist with pollination,
Okay.
to make sure that the vegetables that you grow can have bees, to make sure that they.
So do you have like a beekeeper or anything in any of your volunteers? And
We do not yet.
Yeah,
But we've
okay.
been already brainstorming that's something that we think we want to bring on this year, is to actually grow.
and just briefly tell people about the importance of pollinators, because sometimes people see a bee and they immediately want to swat it, but bees are our friends. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of pollinators?
Yeah, so bees and even wasps, they really help with spreading the pollen and spreading parts of a plant around to other plants. And that assists with germination to make sure that certain plants can grow. So that's really key and vital to that aspect. And then the wasps, not only are they pollinators, but they also eat some of the bad insects that might eat your plants.
Okay.
So whenever we see wasps, we get a little happy too.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. I won't kill any more wasps, okay? So our next image, let's see. I think it's those are some more, and those are what, turnips, and are those rutabagas or
So
what?
these look like turnips and radishes and some beets. And we do grow these items in the
Okay.
garden. And we also, it says Gardening 101. And so one of the other really great things we do at the garden is we have workshops.
Oh, great.
And that's to make sure that everybody who gardens, and even people in our community, can understand how to become better gardeners and how they can really, allow their garden to flourish and make the most of a little bit of
And
land.
do you give basic lessons on how to prepare the food that you grow?
Yes, so we do. We do partnerships with other community gardeners or other community gardens, to provide those lessons about how to prepare food. We trade recipes where we actually will print out summaries of what we've prepared and what we've cooked as well.
So do you have a good recipe for beets? I hate beets.
Pickled beets are always the greatest thing. I love pickled beets.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Do you pickle them?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not that great at pickling beets, but I love pickled beets. I am great at pickling cucumbers.
Okay.
And I make a very, very hot and spicy pickled cucumber. So if
Oh,
you're ever around, I'll have to make sure I bring you some.
Just so
pretty
long
soon.
as it's not beets, we'll be
Okay.
good. Okay. What's our next image of some of the vegetables that they grow in the garden? Oh, this one of the groups is this at harvest time?
Yeah, so this is another one of those workshops that I was mentioning that we were having here in the garden. And so this was a workshop on herbal gardening.
Okay.
That is something that we also recently started. So we have a little bit of a flower garden. We have some vegetables. We have fruits. And now we're trying to grow into growing herbs in the garden.
And what
as
type
well.
of herbs are you growing? All of them, like rosemary, thyme,
Yes, so we grow rosemary and thyme.
cilantro?
Cilantro is one of our favorites. We have lavender,
Okay.
which works really well. We have mint growing. chives, garlic chives, lemon balm, all different types of herbs because those help with the foods that we prepare. And then they also have some medical and properties.
Medicinal purposes. So, and as we think about community gardening, what are some of the things that you would want to share with someone who's interested in trying to become a part of a community garden, like Cottage City Community Garden, or just any community garden? What would you share?
So one of the biggest things I would share is to make sure that they always have a positive attitude. Sometimes when you garden, you may grow, your plant may grow, sometimes it won't. Sometimes, you might have a groundhog who comes and snatches the eggplant that you've been waiting for, but you always have a positive attitude because this is something that you're practicing and you're learning and you're growing just as your food is growing as well. So I think that's one aspect. The other aspect is that it can definitely be some hard work.
Right. Like weeding.
Yes. Weeding is that's always one of the biggest frustration is weeding. But if there's a drought in the summertime or if it's hot, you have to make sure your plants have water because if they don't, they won't grow and then you won't have any benefit from that.
I think there was one shot that we had of a composting operation. I don't know if it's showing or not. There you go. So what's going on with this composting machine here?
Yeah, so this is a compost mill. We work with Eco City Farm, which is based in Bladensburg in Riverdale, Maryland, where we actually compost on site. So that's when you take some of your dead or some of your old greenery and some like maybe old wood chips, and you put those together and you allow them to decompose. And so the mill allows you, when you turn it, it allows you to actually get that really good rich soil, and that's what we then put right back into our beds, in our raised beds, to make sure that our plants have the nutrients that it needs to thrive.
I think it probably smells, right?
Actually, it doesn't. No. So it does not smell because we only use vegetables, or we only use vegetables and vegetables in our compost. If you use materials like meat or something like that, then those can start to smell, but we don't use anything like that.
And it doesn't necessarily attract any additional rodents or anything?
No, we do have a fence around our community garden, so that's one of the biggest ways that we keep them out. But for the most part, it doesn't really attract any rodents because, again, we don't have any meat or anything like that in there.
Okay. So as you're gearing up for 2018, what are some of your plans for the garden?
So one of our biggest plans is getting that bee.
Getting some beekeepers.
We have talked about that, and we wanted to possibly think about providing a hive. Having more classes is always one of the great things that we look into doing. How can we provide more opportunities for the gardeners to grow, but then also for our residents to learn more? And then probably one of my most exciting and most favorite things would be activating the space. So we've thought about having yoga in the garden or doing...
Now, when you say activating the space, what does that mean?
So in addition to gardening...
Multifunctional?
Yes. So some people may not necessarily...
So if I want to come and garden, I can do some yoga too?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
In the years past, we've had brunch in the garden. And that has been a really fun activity that we've really helped get community members out with. So we're looking into doing more activities like that.
Oh, that's great. Are you in the process of trying to recruit volunteers, or if someone really wanted to, let's say, volunteer with Cottage City Community Garden, what would they do right now to become a part of your project?
So one of the things they could do is definitely visit cottagecitygarden.com, and that's our website where we house all of our information about the garden, our upcoming activities, our upcoming events, our garden application. All of that information is there, and from there they can get in contact with me to learn a little bit more about how they can get involved.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good. So when are you guys going to be breaking ground, do you think? Well, I know today is unusual because it's like 80 degrees outside in February, but when do you guys think generally are you going to start breaking ground? Maybe late April or mid-April?
Yeah, so our garden, we meet every second Saturday of the month.
Oh, so you meet on a monthly basis?
We meet on a monthly basis. So we meet every second Saturday, excuse me. So we will be meeting the second Saturday of March in our community garden and starting to get things prepared and ready for the season.
Okay, so they should look you up on the internet. Go to, CottageCityGarden.com?
Yes.
And see where you're meeting at?
Yep, so we will be meeting at the community garden that's located at 4222 Cottage Terrace.
And one of the things that I was not aware of that you made me aware of, that Cottage City is actually a city in Prince George's County.
Yes, it's a very, very small municipality, but it's a very robust and thriving. I love it.
Okay.
It is a municipality in Prince George's County. It's close to Bladensburg and right on the border of Edmonston, and then Lincoln Heights and Lincoln Park in Washington, D.C.
And so how far is that away from your great-great-grandfather's plot? Or is it in the same area?
So it's about 20 minutes away. I'm not too far from there, so I'm still relatively close to the Highland Park community.
Okay.
So it doesn't take me that long to get
So
out there.
so do you feel like you're getting your groove then for gardening? You know, that all that's coming back to you that's kind of been passed down from the...
Yeah, I think there's a lot of generational knowledge in gardening. And once you start getting your hands in the dirt, you start to learn a little bit more. And really the soil guides you. I always tell people whenever they're starting with gardening is that the plants know what to do. If they get the sun and they get the rain and the water, they'll start to grow. And so all I'm there for in most cases is just to make sure that if it's not raining a lot, it gets some additional rain, and that if there are any weeds or any other bugs around, that, you know, I take those away.
Oh, okay. But you guys don't use any like fertilizers or anything like that, or do you?
No, so we are an all organic, all natural garden. Any type of fertilizers that we use will have to be natural. So we might use eggshells. You can grind down the shells to do a compost and a fertilizer. Or again, we'll do compost from what we've grown in the garden. We might use some fish water to assist with that as well. But
and what do you mean by fish water? Do you put dead fish in water?
So we have a gardener who makes a special tea.
Tea?
It is her secret tea that she has not.
She doesn't drink it though, right?
No, she does not drink it. Her plants drink it. We don't drink it.
Okay.
But you just put that in the soil, and it helps to fertilize the soil. Sometimes we'll use worm compost.
Okay.
And we'll add some additional worms to the soil to help with aeration and also to help with.
Okay, so but the garden itself is completely organic.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well that's really great. So I know that one of your goals is to assist, you know, mostly low-income people, you know, and provide them with fresh fruits and vegetables. But do you also, does the garden actually sell any of that, like at some of the stands that they have, or do you set up your own stands to sell it, or is it just for the people who work the garden? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. So we do not sell any of our produce.
Okay.
But we do try to work with community members and also with our local government, our town government, to identify people in the community who may be in need. So we generally always leave extra produce outside the garden with a sign that it's free for all or free for whomever.
So I could come by?
You could come by.
Okay.
And then at different days, like Cottage City Day, we will also distribute food at that as well. And so it's generally open to anyone who might be interested in.
And I saw some pictures of Cottage City Day, and exactly what do you guys do there? I mean, is it kind of like for children, or is it for anyone?
So Cottage City Day is for anyone in the community. We have activities, and the town provides activities for people of all ages. There'll be dance classes, they'll have moon bounces and food, and really the gardeners will develop a workshop to provide for residents. To really help people get a little more engaged and help them understand a little bit more about what the garden does.
Oh, well, that's great. And that happens like during harvest time, or after harvest, or before harvest?
Yeah, so Cottage City Day will be in August. It's generally in August, every August of the year. But our workshops that we have from the garden perspective, those happen throughout. And so I think last year we had a workshop on like the joy of gardening. Then we had a workshop on herbal gardening. We had a workshop on composting. We did a workshop on cooking and seeds of change. So we've done a lot of different types of workshops with the community.
And I know that you have a somewhat of a cooperative, somewhat of a relationship with the Cooperative Extension Service as well, correct?
Yes.
And do you use their master gardeners? I know they have them. I mean, do you use those do they come out and help you out with your garden?
Yes, so Prince George's County has a very robust master gardeners program. It is very robust, and they have been really great resources to our community garden. So those are always the first people that we look towards when we're trying to identify workshops that we want to have in the garden, and they're always willing to come out and teach and provide those workshops for us. And they also do it for free, which is another huge
Free
benefit.
is the operative.
For free.
So do you, I know that you are grants writer. You do some of that, try and raise funds. Are you guys trying to raise funds for the garden now?
So we're always trying to raise funds for the garden.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest things. It's just making sure that we can stay sustainable because water, we have to pay for the water in the
Right.
garden, and then we also have to pay for soil. And then sometimes if there's any additions that we need to make to the garden, we have to be able to make sure we can pay for that. So we brainstormed some different ideas of what we can do to provide funds or what we can do to raise funds. We've thought about having a dinner in the garden.
Candlelight?
Yes. A nice dinner in the garden.
Okay.
We've also played around with the idea of having a beer garden,
Okay.
or even in some instances, maybe just doing a seed exchange or a seed swap.
So, in conclusion, we're getting ready to wrap up the show. What would you encourage people to do? Can you give out your information again, and give them a little spiel on why they would want to come out and join you guys at Cottage City Community Garden?
Right, so I would definitely encourage everyone to visit cottagecitygarden.com to learn a little bit more about the Cottage City Community Garden and what we're doing up in the port towns of Prince George's County. And I really would encourage everyone to get involved with community garden, even if they just garden in their house or if they actually decide to garden with a large group of people. It's a great way to get exercise, and it's really also very helpful to understand where your food comes from so that you know what you're eating and you know that it is healthy.
Even if you don't like beets.
Even if you don't like beets, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brittney Drakeford. I appreciate you being here with us on today's Homes of Color show and all that you do actually for the Community Gardening Network. We're going to have some more shows coming up on gardening as we move into the spring and the summer. I too love to garden. Brittney, I don't grow beets, but I do love to garden. And we invite you guys to come back and share some more of our gardening stories. And Brittney, we'll have you back again too and talk a little bit more about gardening. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoy the cover of Marion Wright Edelman. We'll have some more covers to share with you. And please stop by and see us again. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Corriece Gwynn, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.